This is genuinely concerning for the Rams heading into the conference championship matchup against the Seahawks this weekend. Some key matchups the Rams need to win in order to come out on top and book a trip to the Super Bowl, as well as some Rams players being named NFL AP Award finalists and an updated injury report heading into this week's matchup. All that and more in this episode of Rams Digest. Before we get into all the news today, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. When you download Kalshi using the link in the description and enter code DIGESTNFL, you'll get $20 when you trade your first 100. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States, and on their platform, you can trade yes or no on real-life events, including sports, news, elections, and anything you can think of. And best of all, whether you're in California, Texas, or any other U.S. state, Kalshi is live in all 50 states, and on their platform, any trade you make is on a regulated platform, and you can cash out at any time. And for Rams fans, there's so much to trade for on Kalshi, including game odds where the Rams are heavy favorites at 63% chance. I do have the Rams winning this game in Chicago, as well as point spreads and over-unders where I have Indiana winning the college football championship but by under 7.5, but I do think over 48.5 points will be scored, as well as player props for both touchdowns and yards. I have Colston Loveland and Kyren Williams for a touchdown at any time in this upcoming game versus the Bears, as well as award odds. And you already know for MVP, I got my boy Matthew Stafford. And for futures, like who will play in the Super Bowl this season, I have now the Rams and Bills. Unfortunately, my original pick of Rams-Jaguars is not possible anymore, but this is also a new and fun way for sports fans to test their sports knowledge by trading on Kalshi. And remember to use the link down below in the description to download Kalshi. And when you do, enter code DIGESTNFL to get $20 when you trade your first 100. Thank you very much to Kalshi once again for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the news. Welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that like button right now if you want the Rams to make the Super Bowl and win this weekend. And like the video as well for our Conference Championship Week stream coming on Sunday around 3:25 p.m. Pacific time once again, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But we got a lot to get into, so let's get right into some key matchups that will determine the outcome of this game from Rams Wire that we will get into right now. And the first one is Puka Nacua versus Devin Witherspoon. Nacua was good in his first meeting with the Seahawks this season and outstanding in the second. He went off for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns on 12 catches in Week 16, destroying Seattle's vaunted secondary with what was likely the best game of his career to date. It really was. I mean, Puka was just absolutely awesome throughout that entire game. Obviously, really destroying that secondary, helped the Rams get out to a big lead. Caught what should have been the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Unfortunately, the Rams couldn't pull out on top of that one, unfortunately. But yeah, he was destroying that defense, as well as Matthew Stafford was left and right throughout that entire game. Witherspoon is long and physical, while also having the versatility to play inside or out. It's hard for anyone to cover Nacua one-on-one, but Witherspoon is capable of matching up with the Rams receiver and doing a good job without needing a double-team help. The Rams do have Devontae Adams, but there's no question Nacua is the go-to guy in this offense, and he should be a big focal point of Seattle's defense. He should be. It wasn't in the last week, or the last meeting, I should say. Seahawks lucky to pull out with that one. But Witherspoon had 9 tackles last game against the Rams in Week 16, an interception and 7 passes defense. Overall on the season for him, didn't really impact the game too much last time, but the defense as a whole is coming off an A+++ performance against the 49ers. We know the 49ers were hurt, but it's the playoffs. You got to give that defense credit. They looked amazing last week, so they're going to be coming in here with some momentum. And Puka Nacua is going to have another big game for the Rams to clinch a Super Bowl berth. And the Rams guards versus the Seattle defensive tackles. The Seahawks tandem of Byron Murphy II and Leonard Williams is as good as any in the NFL, and they will challenge the Rams guards, Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson. In Week 16, Murphy led the team with 6 pressures and Williams was second with 5, so they had success against LA. Yeah, and we saw Kevin Dotson and Steve Avila miss actually a couple blocks on some pass plays, some pass protection plays. Run blocking, Kevin Dotson was great, as we know he is, in that game last week against the Bears. But against the pass, both of those guys, the Bears, outside of Montez Sweat, don't really have a great pass rusher at all. And the Seahawks, obviously, with Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy and all the other guys that can get after the quarterback, DeMarcus Lawrence as well. Just so many guys can come at you, and this O-line is going to have to be great. They were pretty good in the last game. They didn't really give up too many sacks. I mean, they're going to get some pressure. We know that. Kind of like the Rams, like they're going to get some form of pressure. We know that's going to happen, but can this O-line stand up to the factor of this D-line? And I do believe that they can heading into this game. This time around, the Rams will have Dotson after he left their Week 16 meeting early due to an ankle injury. That'll make a big difference as Dotson has been one of the best guards in football. Matthew Stafford isn't the most mobile quarterback, so interior pressure often leads to sacks. Yes, it does. Hopefully Stafford just tries to get the ball out. I think he can do that a little more against the Bears. I think he kind of had both quarterbacks in that game kind of held the ball for too long and during multiple times. I guess Caleb can never hold the ball for too long at this point, but for Matthew Stafford, he definitely did that a couple of times, and I think that can be avoided in this game against Seattle. It will make a huge difference because you don't want to start your drives or start, your new set of downs with sack, loss of 5. That can't happen against this team because this defense is going to just keep on taking what they're given in the offense. All they're going to have to do at that point is just play mistake-free football like they had to last week, and they can dominate games that way, and we don't want to see that happen in this matchup. The next matchup is Nate Landman versus Kenneth Walker. Walker rushed for 100 yards on only 11 carries, helped by one long 55-yard touchdown run. He'll be the bell cow on Sunday with Zach Charbonnet out, putting the matchup between Landman and Walker at the forefront. Yes, that is true. I know Josh and I have both already mentioned that there will be no Zach Charbonnet, no UCLA product for the Seahawks for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, had that ACL injury. And Nate Landman was just not good against Kenneth Walker. Landman had 5 tackles and a sack. He was actually a better pass rusher than he was a tackler in that game against the Seahawks in Week 16, which is not what you want to see heading into a very important conference championship matchup that Landman was just not the player you needed him to be. And Kenneth Walker was not having the best season up until then. Only 5 total touchdowns on the year. He did end up averaging 4.6 yards per carry. He did get over 1,000 yards, but again, he wasn't really that great. He even had 3 catches for 64 yards. He was very effective off of those screens. Kubiak did a great job with that play calling there in Seattle. We'll see where he ends up this offseason, but the Rams going to have to stop Kenneth Walker. Mainly specifically because, again, George Holani is the backup. We'll get to the injury report later. He's on that report, so it may literally just be Kenneth Walker out there. So the Rams need to tire him out, need to stop him. Landman has had some struggles with tackling and angles in recent weeks, but he has to be at his best against someone as elusive and explosive as Walker. The Seahawks have leaned on their run game and taken pressure off for Sam Darnold to carry the load, so the Rams will try to reverse that and force Darnold to beat them. Yes, they will. We're going to get to a Sam Darnold-related matchup a little bit later in this video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Yeah, I do agree. Nate Landman has not been great. In the playoffs, he's been better. He's had 10 tackles in each game in the playoffs. I've seen him play a lot better. He had that concerning play against the Cardinals where he couldn't bring down, I believe it was Michael Carter, where he couldn't bring him down in Week 18, though someone should have come to help him. But the playoffs, he's been good. The angles have been a little better the last few weeks of the regular season. They weren't as good. Maybe he was getting a little tired. He didn't play that entire Cardinals game, so maybe that extra rest helped him a little bit. And in the playoffs, he has been better. I do expect him to be better, and he'll have to be better if the Rams want to win this game. This is the key matchup to me. Can Nate Landman improve that tackling like he has so far throughout the playoffs, or the Seahawks going to have some answers for him because their run game was very effective. The Seahawks, during the regular season, were not getting a lot of yards per carry. Kenneth Walker, that game kind of flipped a switch. They were very good the last few games of the year running the ball yards per carry wise, and that has spilled over so far into the postseason. The next matchup is Kobe Durant versus wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. Smith-Njigba was shut down for most of the game of Week 16 before taking over in the second half in overtime, catching the game winner with 3 minutes left. Durant is coming off his best game of the year with 2 picks against the Bears, and will try to keep that momentum going in Seattle. Smith-Njigba is by far the Seahawks' best offensive weapon, and the Rams can't contain him with just one player. Durant will get help from safeties over the top, and Darius Williams and the other corners will get a crack at him Sunday night too. Yeah, and Emmanuel Forbes did a pretty decent job on him in kind of both of their matchups, although we'll get to him on the injury report a little bit later as well, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, Kobe Durant coming off of a very good playoff run so far. 40 total tackles, 1 fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, a touchdown, and 7 passes defensed in the regular season. 3 interceptions in 2 playoff games this year. He had 1 against the Panthers, and he's had 2, obviously, last week against the Bears. And in the game against Seattle, 3 tackles and a fumble recovery in the last game. So he did recover a fumble, but unfortunately did not really do too much outside of that, he had a nice impact play with the fumble recovery, but that was pretty much it. And obviously, if we go to JSN, 119 catches, led the league in yards with almost 1,800, 1,793, 10 touchdowns. He had 8 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown last game versus the Rams. So yeah, again, the Rams had him shut down for pretty much 3 quarters, and then in the fourth, weren't even really throwing him the ball much. And then in the fourth quarter, all of a sudden, Kubiak was like, "Yeah, we got a guy, JSN, who's pretty good." And they should have been throwing the ball the whole game anyway, despite him being pretty well covered. And then they finally decided to. So if the Rams can force Darnold into some bad throws, mix up some coverages in the secondary, wouldn't be shocked if Quentin Lake helps out there a lot, where you can kind of mix different guys on JSN, make things tough for Sam Darnold because he sometimes has trouble reading the field, and that can lead to some turnovers that this Rams defense can force, because that's kind of how Seattle gets ahead. They force a lot of turnovers. The Rams have been able to force some turnovers so far this playoff run as well, and that's going to be key for them heading into this game. You got to stop JSN. If JSN has a 9-catch, 100-yard, no touchdown game, I'll take that. You can't let him get in the end zone. You can't let him get a big play on you, or else that stadium with the 12th men in the crowd is going to be rocking, and it's going to be the loudest it's been there in pretty much a decade. The most important game played there in a decade, so the Rams are going to have to come ready to face that noise as well. And the next matchup is Byron Young versus right tackle Abraham Lucas. We don't yet know who the Seahawks will start at left tackle with Charles Cross banged up. We'll get to that a little bit. But it'll be Lucas on the right side against Young. Young played his lowest snap share of the season against the Bears due to some knee soreness, but if he's fully healthy, he could be a game changer. Lucas has been good all year, but he's allowed the most pressures and sacks of any Seahawks lineman. If Young can win that matchup and apply pressure on Darnold, he can force him to costly mistakes. Yes, he can. Byron Young, obviously the Rams leading sacker with 12, had a decent performance in the last game against Seattle. In fact, we're going to pull that up. But yeah, having Abraham Lucas there is definitely going to make things quite interesting here for this Rams team as we get Byron Young's stats from the Seahawks game up. He did have 6 total tackles. He did not have 4 total tackles, did not have a sack in the second meeting. In the first meeting also did not have a sack, but he did get to the quarterback a good amount of time still, so I do expect that he can. But him going up against Abraham Lucas on that right side, I do think can provide some lanes for pressure, which I think is going to be very, very key to get to Sam Darnold, hurry him up. That's what they did when he was a Viking. They got a lot of pressure on him. They had that 6-sack first half where they really just nullified that offense. And if they could do that again, that defense couldn't get tired out, because this Rams team, I expect better play calling out of McVay. And I do just want to make something clear about the play calling thing real quick, is that I don't think it was bad play calling all year, but it just wasn't the best. That he could have done better, and no one's saying to fire Sean McVay. I've seen that a little bit in the comments. I'm not saying that. Josh is not saying that. No. It was just a bad game from him, and he admitted it, and I do think he will bounce back there offensively to try to help out this defense, try to make this defense more motivated, get some pressure, get some sacks, and that pressure can also force turnovers that we are going to get to, and why the Rams can do that right now, but I think Byron Young can easily win this matchup. And the last matchup is Chris Shula versus Sam Darnold. Speaking of Darnold, he's struggled badly against Shula in the last 2 years. He's thrown 5 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions in 4 games against Shula, getting sacked 16 times. He's a quarterback who gets rattled under pressure and leans heavily on his first read, so the Rams will try to pressure him and take away his initial read. The Rams have a big advantage at QB with Stafford over Darnold, and it could be the difference in this game. Shula needs to disguise coverages with late rotations, and I'm not going to try to say that word, I apologize, and blitzes to throw Darnold off. Yeah, and I do agree with that. There, Sam Darnold, obviously on the year, over 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 14 picks, and 6 fumbles. The only quarterback with 20 total turnovers this season. 67.7% completion, 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in the game at SoFi against the Rams for 279 yards, 29 for 44. Made him pass a lot. In the second game, 22 for 34, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions this year alone against the Rams, and he was sacked 4 times in the second meeting as well. So, yeah, when they can force turnovers, we saw the Rams get off to that big lead in the second game. Unfortunately, they couldn't close it out. In the first game, you have the 4 interception game. The Seattle defense, we know, is going to make things tough, but this Rams defense can do that as well. Sam Darnold has very much struggled against Chris Shula throughout his career, and I can definitely see those struggles continuing because Sam Darnold, the Seahawks look great. Sam Darnold threw the ball 17 times. he didn't have to throw the ball a lot, and that was on purpose. And we know why, because pumpkin mode is a thing. And I think the Rams can unlock that with those disguised coverages for sure. Comment down below right now as well. What is your biggest matchup to watch? Mine is Nate Landman versus Kenneth Walker, as well as the special teams as well. We saw Shaheed have an opening kickoff return touchdown, flip the game like that, and that's exactly how the Rams blew their lead in Seattle. That led to the firing of Chase Blackburn in there as well. So special teams going to be key as well. Comment down below right now your thoughts. But real quick, we got to get to some players nominated for some NFL AP awards. And this is also from Rams Wire that we're going to get into right now. The league announced finalists for the top awards on Thursday, and both Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua were among them. Stafford is one of 5 finalists for AP MVP, along with Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, I should say, and Christian McCaffrey. Stafford is considered the favorite after being voted an AP First-Team All-Pro and winning the PFWA MVP for 2025, but May also has a strong case, and it's not unprecedented for different players to win the PFWA and AP MVP, although it is very rare. Yeah, we're going to get into the case here a bit later. We're just going to rattle off some more quick facts. And Nacua is a finalist for Offensive Player of the Year, as well as Drake May, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, and JSN are also finalists. Smith and Jigba won the PFWA Offensive Player of the Year and is viewed to win the AP's version 2. Stafford led the NFL with 46 touchdown passes with 4,707 yards, also setting a league record with 28 consecutive touchdown passes before throwing in an interception. Nacua was the league leader with 129 catches and averaged an NFL best 107.2 yards per game, scoring 11 total touchdowns, 10 through the air, 1 rushing. The winners of each award will be announced at the NFL Honors on February 5th in San Francisco. So, I think Stafford is the MVP, and I don't really think it's particularly close outside of Drake May. There really isn't anybody else. Offensive Player of the Year, JSN, Puka, Bijan. I think it's a three-person race. Maybe Drake May ends up getting it if he comes second in MVP, although I think Offensive Player of the Year is kind of like the best non-quarterback. I don't think Christian McCaffrey can win it. He averaged under 4 yards a carry on the season. He was great overall, but I don't think he can win that award averaging under 4 yards a carry. So, I will say that I think Puka should get it because he only played 16 games and led the league in receptions, second in yards, 11 total touchdowns, led the NFL in yards per game. If he had played the same amount of games as JSN, he definitely finishes with more yards. And he only missed 1 game, too, so this isn't a shortened sample size. I would slightly give the edge to Puka. I think Stafford is the MVP for sure. Comment down below right now your thoughts on that as well. I did a short that went a little bit more in depth about this, so if you missed that, go back and watch that as well. But now, real quick, we got an updated injury report to get to for both teams that we're going to talk about right now. And for this, the date in the red that says the 25th is just when the game is played, not what the injury report day is. So Quentin Lake had a little bit of an illness this week, but he did practice in full today. No practices yet for Kyren Young. He has not been ruled out, still questionable. Emmanuel Forbes with that shoulder injury he suffered in the Bears game, limited practice both days. Josiah Stewart with a knee injury, full both days. And look at the bottom. Rob Havenstein with that ankle, practiced in a limited fashion in today's practice on this Thursday. So that is key to see. His return window is open. There's no word on whether they plan to play him yet. I think they'll see how he is tomorrow before making a designation. But the fact that he's even limited, the fact that we can have our entire offensive line back for this game, even if it's on a limited snap count, would be so big against this defense. The Rams getting healthier at the right time. For the Seahawks, obviously Charles Cross with that foot injury didn't play at all. Neither did Josh Jones with a knee and ankle. Amari Knight, another tackle with a knee, also did not play. Seahawks might be down some alignment depth. See towards the bottom, George Holani going to be the second string running back with a hamstring. Did practice in full both days. So we'll see if he plays JSN just for rest. He'll be fine. DeMarcus Lawrence with rest. He'll be fine. Sam Darnold, we know, is dealing with a slight oblique injury. He'll play. He played last week unless if he regresses this week. So not much to look for there on the Seattle. And besides Charles Cross, we will see if he plays. And comment down below right now your thoughts on that injury report and Rob Havenstein potentially coming back, because to me, that is a game changer at O-line if he is healthy. But that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Make sure to hit that like button right now if you want the Rams to win this game and clinch a Super Bowl berth. Like this video right now as well for our stream coming up this Sunday the 25th, 3:25 p.m. Pacific time here. So make sure to stay tuned for that as well. Comment down below your thoughts on the key matchups, the injury update, and your NFL award picks. You can put all award picks. You can only put the awards I talked about. It's up to you to decide. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.